Trippier's out, Slidler. Maguire, Kane has stolen it at the death. That's what he's there for. A pile of English joy.
Here's Gascoigne. Brilliant play. Oh, take a bow.
And here's another Owen run. He's going to worry them again. It's a great run by Michael Owen, and he might finish it off. Oh, it's a wonderful goal. Beckham strolls again now. Heskey's to his left unmarked. Emil Heskey, could it be 5? Yes, it is! Can we not knock it?
Hello, welcome to the new spin-off. Euros, blah, blah, blah. Isn't it, Rich?
Yeah, snappy title.
Snappy title. Don't know where we got that one from.
We should have shortened the name to something like Google or Apple or Coca-Cola. We'll never be a global force like this.
Some kind of fruit company. That's the first
I like doing it so much. I did that podcast for free.
Lieutenant Dan. First 90s reference straight in. Just a couple of things before we get started. I was just going to thank Hull City Ladies, Danny Johnson, for their continued support. This is not as city-based, so still a good shout-out to them. And our Patreons, which are Danny Nicol, Ewan Jones, Mike Hassan, Adam Brown, Alex O'Neill, Aaron Bell and Rich Fleming. Obviously, we've taken a pause on the City content right now because there's no real... I mean, other than, Alfie Jones signing another 2-year deal and George Moncare, we've got no real City news to talk about. The main stuff is the Euros.
We'll kind of do that pre-season anyway.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, once it's back in August, September, it'll focus back on City. But it's it should be only once every 4 years we get a Euros, so we might as well make the most of it.
Yeah, well, once every 5.
Once every 5 this time. It's 2016, wasn't it? Yeah. There's a few things we're going to talk about, mostly light-hearted, but obviously anybody who's watched the Euros today took a rather sour turn today. Not really ever seen anything like that since the Fabrice Muamba stuff all those years ago.
No, and that was totally different because it wasn't something we were watching live.
That's right.
Well, not totally different. You know what I mean? We weren't watching that game live and experiencing it as like a, it was like a continental experience of just sudden like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, as soon
fear, really.
As soon as, he went down and stuff, it was just like, right, this is really serious.
You knew it immediately, didn't you? We were of course talking about Christian Eriksen.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with that, but it's a lot more positive now than it was when we were watching the game.
A lot more positive than it looked for certain at the time, yeah.
It's absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
I think anybody watching it and, well, I was going to say anybody who's ever played the game found it, very relatable because, I mean, Christian Eriksen will be in much, much better condition than any of us that have ever played it on a Sunday. So it's kind of like, bloody hell, if it can happen to him, very sobering thing. But, I mean, anybody with an ounce of humanity in the body would watch that and just feel absolutely sickened by it. It was awful.
I was watching. We were all watching it in my house. Even my missus never watches football with me, and she'd been watching for 10 minutes, and that happened. She was like, "I'm not watching anymore. I must be a curse or something." But fortunately, my kids had kind of gone off, and they weren't watching that.
Yeah.
So it's not really. I wouldn't know how to explain that, to be honest. And can we just say massive props to the entire Denmark squad and all of the medics and everybody else who was involved in getting him safely to hospital, and looks like he's going to be okay, and he's stable, isn't he? And they were having tests and stuff, and he was conscious when he left the ground, which is a miracle, really. Because I mean, some of the scenes you saw, we shouldn't have had to see either, really. Let's be honest, but it's good to know that hopefully there should be some positive news coming out of that. But obviously, it's Kaja, isn't it? The guy who put him on the side and made sure that he didn't swallow his tongue and stuff. And just well done to all of those people involved, really, because I think they've saved his life there, and hopefully he'll make a full recovery. And I don't know about, it'd be too early to look at whether he's going to play again or anything, but he certainly looked like he was in much better shape than he would have been otherwise. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, that's a little bit of a somber start. We don't usually do that, but it would be remiss of us not to talk about that, I think. It'll be the most talked about thing. And obviously, there's been a lot of kind of positive outpour on Twitter's usually a place where you see awful stuff. And it's like the negative side of social media, but everything that I've seen on that has been really positive and people coming together. And, you know, the Finland fans were shouting Christian and then the Denmark fans were shouting Eriksen, weren't they? So nice coming together of all different fans, no matter who you support, making sure that they think he's going to be okay. So yeah, weird day.
Yeah, very weird.
Very weird.
Finds McManaman. Gascoigne. Sheringham again. And Shearer. And it's 3-0. This is a fantastic England performance now.
Now, obviously, people will be listening to this. They'll probably be listening to it on the Sunday because that's when most people will download it and listen to it, and they'll be preparing for the England game, which is tomorrow.
Tomorrow as we record. Yeah.
Yes, tomorrow as we record. So it's Sunday. I'm stuck on what day it's 13th, isn't it, tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yes, 13th. So Sunday 13th, Croatia at Wembley. We were just going to go through a couple of kind of key players, I thought. Originally, when me and Richard talked about this, we was going to pick our 11, and then Richard said, actually, I talk myself out of every 11 that I pick, and it depends who's fit, because then it would change the formation, and you are right about that.
And it also massively depends on the opposition, so it's kind of... You can't kind of look at it and pick it for your tournament, so to kind of go into, like, looking at who we would pick specifically tomorrow gets a little bit too granular, doesn't it? Yeah, it does a little bit. But from those that could start tomorrow, who do you think we're going to look for in terms of making sure that we get off on the... Because I did see a stat, by the way, the other day. Since the Euros has existed, we've never won the first game. Did you see that? No, I didn't.
We've either drawn or lost the first game every single time in its current format, apparently.
Right.
Which, when I think back, I can't think of anything that contradicts that either. So, I remember Euro 2000 being especially awful, which I think we went out of the group stages on.
Yeah, and Euro 96 to draw against Switzerland, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah. So I think that's certainly true in its current format. I'm not sure how long it's... I think in Euro 88, we lost every single game. So... but yeah, who are you going to be looking for tomorrow to make things happen, depending on who starts, of course?
I mean, Maguire's fitness is a big thing, isn't it? Nobody's expecting him to play, are they?
I don't think so, not tomorrow.
I know he's been training with the main group, hasn't he?
He has, yeah.
I mean, he's going to be a big miss. I know that a lot of people have spent the year kind of getting on his back for his form for Man United, but he's integral for the way that England play.
Certainly with a back four.
Yeah, well, even with a back three, his ability to step out with the ball and kind of break the lines and get us working in down that left-hand side.
He used to do that for City all those years ago, didn't he? He was always a ball playing, kind of going forward, driving with it, centre half.
Once somebody of his size makes a decision that they're going to carry the ball forward, how do you stop him? Slabhead juggernaut. Yeah, so I mean, whatever happens with Maguire, his absence or his presence is going to be key, I think.
I wasn't overly convinced on Mings, I will say.
No, he looked very shaky in the two friendlies, didn't he?
He didn't look brilliant.
I know there's been a debate as to whether or not Ben White should be the one stepping in.
I mean, he looks all right. He just looks like you've stepped off the set of Love Island. The tattoos and the newly done hair that seems to be done every single game. His fade never seems to grow back. It's always perfectly done.
Yeah, and the socks right up over his knees. I mean, that's a hell of a look for a centre back, isn't it?
Certainly is.
Jealousy's an ugly thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Good looking bastard.
Yeah. But I mean, whoever comes in, assuming that Maguire is absent has got a big role to fill in the system, and the consequence that will have for the way that John Stones is then going to play and what that means for his game.
I mean, he's had an excellent season, Stones.
He has, but the argument is that he needs somebody alongside him who can kind of help him through games as well. Yeah,
I mean, that was the thing, because he had Diaz a lot of the season, and he was outstanding for Man City. He got Player of the Year, didn't he, from the PFA, I think. So when he's got a very, very competent partner, you don't worry about him. But I think when he has to be the leader, I think he's not as effective. I don't know, not as effective, I think, yeah. And that was kind of the Stones that we saw 2 or 3 seasons ago when he was like partnered with like Otamendi and stuff. Yeah. He was never the most reliable centre back, was he, when he was playing for Man City?
No.
What about in midfield? Like, who do you go with? Who do you want to be starting in there? Like, either like attacking mid or whatever. Would you go with Grealish? Would you go with Foden, or would you have them both on the pitch?
I wouldn't have them both, and that's one of the things that I'm really conflicted about. Grealish, if you looked at him on the basis of the friendlies, you would say he's been given an opportunity and he's maybe done enough to think that he's taken that opportunity and he's in the team. Yeah. But then, I mean, Phil Foden is such a good footballer, isn't he? How do you not have him in your team?
Oh yeah. I've seen. But Grealish is great as well, and he's made things happen in friendlies, as you say. Yeah. The form that Foden's been in latter part of the season, it's just looked unplayable.
Yeah, and the same goes for Mount. Like, how do you? Yeah. It's kind of reminded me a little bit of the debate of when we had like Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard.
Yeah, who misses out?
Misses out? And it's like, if you get them all in, you don't have a balanced midfield, do you?
No, that's right.
So I think whoever he picks, the good footballers first and foremost. I wouldn't pick them all for the balance. I think the one player I want to see is someone that we haven't mentioned. I'd love to see Jude Bellingham start.
He's been he's huge, the lad, isn't he? Is he still 17?
Still 17, and I mean, he just looks so accomplished. Even if he doesn't play a big part in this tournament, there's like another year of development, like Qatar.
It's nothing like just like the when Sven took Walcott, then never played him. When he was 16. Yeah, it's not that though, is it? Because he's there on merit. Like
he's got a part to play, 100%. Yeah. Jordan Henderson's not fit. So no, I mean, I wouldn't play him. I don't think Declan Rice is your key.
I don't think he should even be there. I'd have taken Ward-Prowse over him. I mean, this isn't an anti-Henderson thing. I just think if somebody hasn't been playing for the last 3 months, you're gambling on them.
Yeah, and we've done that before.
Hitting the ground running. We have done that. We've taken players that, like Wilshere, he's not played, but he's magic, so we'll take him.
I mean, even other players, like not Wilshere because he's never been a key player, but other players who've played that have had injuries and been key players, Beckham, Rooney. Yeah. We've taken them after injuries where they haven't played and they've been fighting for fitness coming into tournaments. Yeah. And, the same could be true of Harry Maguire, I suppose. People might be saying, but you've been saying Maguire's key, so I suppose the same could be said for him.
I think it's less serious of an injury. He's missed less, though, hasn't he?
He's missed far fewer games than Henderson has. So, I would like to see Bellingham play. I know people look and say, well, Phillips has played well for Leeds. Yeah. And does he not deserve the start? But I mean, I'd play Bellingham. He looks like a baller. I don't use that word very often because, of my age, it's not appropriate.
No, it's not usually one that's it's within our repertoire of descriptions.
No, but I'm very impressed and very excited to watch him develop.
That'll be the title of the episode. Bellingham's a baller.
Bellingham's a baller, Rich is a twat.
I wasn't going to put that end bit in, but if you insist.
What about you? Who would you want to see in midfield?
I mean, it's such a tough one, but
I'm glad it's not my headache. I don't know about you.
I know. I'm glad I'm not Gareth Southgate. He can't do right for wrong, can he? Really?
Well, no. He's got midfield worries to think about, and then other things where he's having to play a diplomat and a football manager at the same time. So
that's right. I mean, I don't really want to go through all that again, but I mean that statement that came out of the FA today. If there is any booing after that, it's just like, you're a knuckle dragger. Do one.
Well, yeah, I feel like don't want to make it the focus because
No.
I've heard other podcasts and radio programs that are like football focused get not sidetracked. That sounds wrong.
It's like caught up in it.
Yeah. But
It detracts from the actual football, I think, when it should be part of the start, and then we go on to the football. It should be something that's just respected, and it's just not.
But it would be remiss of us not to mention it and to not say that we're fully supportive of the England players. And
massively.
If you think that that's some kind of political gesture or in support of a Marxist organisation, then you're as thick as mince.
I mean, I think the last thing on this really before I talk about the players, I just think that like even all the way back. I mean, you remember in December when some fans did come back in, and like Millwall were the most kind of covered one where they did boo it, and it was really vociferous, like proper bad. And at the time, like the FA had then come out and said, like, we understand that these people have these feelings about it, but actually it's not affiliated to that. It's simply a mark of respect for. I don't know how many more times the FA could come out and say this is not linked to a political organisation. It is an act of solidarity about racism.
They're giving it their own narrative, and that's up to them to do that. But then they also have to be aware that anybody else who sees through that will have a much lesser opinion of them then.
Yeah. Anyway, football.
Yeah. Back to the midfield dilemma. Who would you pick?
Well, you said that you wouldn't have Foden and Grealish on the same side.
No.
I mean,
because then I think you want Mount in your team as well.
You do. But then you need a holder, don't you? So that'd be what would you have Bellingham over Rice, for example?
No, I mean if I was going to pick one of the two, it would be Rice.
Yeah. You're going for 4-2-3-1 here, aren't you? So,
no, not necessarily. I mean, I think probably what we'll see out of England tomorrow is 3-4-3.
You think he'll do that?
Yeah.
Well, he didn't play 3-4-3 or 3-5-2 against Croatia last time, did he? And that was in the 2018 World Cup. But that was one of the only games they hadn't played.
Well, they've played each other in the Nations League since, haven't they?
They have done, in fairness. They have done. I don't know. It's such a tough one. I think Grealish... I know people then start to go, oh, well, he goes down too easily. But we can be positive from set pieces again, because we really were in the last World Cup. And I think Grealish, as long as
we're not a side that's as dependent on set pieces as we were 3 years ago. But, we still got that quality because, Grealish can win your free kicks and then Trippier can deliver.
I mean, I was watching the game against Romania, and he must have been booted about 6 times within 25 minutes. And the referee blew up each time. He just didn't give a card because it was a friendly. But if he's drawing fouls like that, and he really knows how to draw a cynical foul, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he almost seems to enjoy it as well. He's just somebody that loves getting on the ball and squaring players up and being like, "Go on, then. If that's all you can do to stop me, then."
And it was a nice little link into City, because I remember the Tigers Tube had retweeted that thing where. Remember we'd gone away to Villa and Grealish played, and we just booted fuck out of him. Like there was a challenge on him from like Elmo early on, and he went down, and Elmo's like ruffling his hair and telling him to get up. And then there was the last one that I saw was unreal. It was just a 2-footer like from nowhere from Stephen Quinn. Like the ball went and Quinn just goes through and he flips in the air, but it goes to Grealish afterwards, and he's just laughing, like he's not rolling around on the floor or crying. He's just like, they can't get a ball off me, so it's just he just loves winding them up.
Yeah,
he loves getting in their heads, and I really like that about him. But I'm conflicted between him and Foden, because I just think Foden's such a talent.
Yeah.
And he can make things happen without winning a free kick. He'll go past you like you're not there, and then create something. I don't know.
And it would seem as well that to compound that, Grealish's fitness is having to be managed as well.
Yeah, it's really them stupid fucking little shin pads he wears. I mean,
the
same size as my son's, and he plays under 7. Don't wear them. Don't wear them.
But then, I mean, there's other things like it's been leaked in some papers that are expecting Sterling to start.
Yeah.
And I know that some people are having kittens about that because he's had a poor season by his standards. But to me, I don't understand that, because if I think if you miss him out, or you leave, other people have said that Rashford shouldn't play, shouldn't even be in the squad.
I think that's a bit heavy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he should start.
Well, yeah, but if you leave him out, and I think a lot of English fans as well have this tendency to overlook Sancho as well, because we don't see as much of him.
Yeah, well, unless you specifically watch the Bundesliga a lot, you're not really going to have that much of a knowledge of how he's done that season, if you get me. You'll just see the headlines, won't you?
But I think you need one of those three in just to offer somebody that I know that they all like to come inside and do their work, but they've also got that pace where they can stretch teams. And if you've got Kane leading the line, he's a set, isn't he? He's a given.
Yeah, you would have thought so.
But we've seen more and more with him with Tottenham that he likes to come in deep.
I think that was a role he was being asked to play, though. He didn't always do that, did he? Yeah.
Well, no, not always, but it is something that he's got to his game, and if he's
certainly got it. If he needs to drop deep, if we are kind of backs to the wall for a bit, he'll get in, do a shift, and he'll start to try and pick balls up at
what I'm saying is
sort of
if you got him and Foden and then maybe Grealish on the other side, Kane's dropping deep, and then you've got two lads that aren't natural forwards either side of him. I don't know. So I think I would want one of Sterling, Rashford or Sancho in. So that's where I'm reluctant to be like Grealish, Foden, Mount. It's kind of somebody's going to miss out. A very, very talented players are going to miss out, and I'm having a hard time making that decision. Yeah, for me.
Yeah, well, I think Kane's the certain starter up front, but then that three behind him is just completely up for debate. And depending on what mood you're in and what opposition we've got, you'd probably go with different ones, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they will. I think it'll be 3-4-3 tomorrow, and then maybe 4-3-3 against Scotland. And
I mean, does Scotland often play back three, don't they?
Yeah, they can do. Yeah, because they've got.
Because I don't know if you go like for like, or you just try to play your own game and not worry what they do. Because it's. I don't know. I kind of fear Scotland game, mate. They're going to be bang up for it. They've got nothing to lose, have they?
Everyone will be up for it.
Everyone expects England to win, but the Scots will absolutely love being underdogs, and they'll want to send it to us, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's definitely not an easy game in this group, I tell you.
But then again, Scotland do play that back three, don't they? Because that's how they get Tierney into the same side as Robertson.
That's right. Yeah, they just put them on different sides.
Tierney plays left centre back sometimes.
Oh, is that what he tries to do?
Yeah, so he gets both like the two best players in the squad.
So like two left backs. So one of them centre. It's like he does with Kyle Walker, then, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, effectively, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of given up overthinking this. I just want to watch the game, and be a bloody good watch.
Until you said about it that we were going to talk about it, I'd actually given it very little thought, because it was just like, I've no idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. The other thing I just wanted to say was people saying that we need to get on the front foot and play attractive football. And to some extent, I agree with that. But there also needs to be a certain amount of pragmatism, because we've seen teams be pragmatic and also have very successful tournaments. I mean, Portugal won the last tournament.
And they came third in their fucking league, because they ended up drawing with like...
They didn't win a group game.
No, they didn't. They ended up coming one of the best third place teams and going through.
Yeah, so if England tomorrow play cautiously, you can see it's after 90 minutes and everybody's going to be like, why didn't we go at them?
I think it's just the time to avoid Twitter if England ever have a bad result.
Yeah,
really.
But it's something that we need to be aware about with this tournament. It's harder, almost, to get knocked out at this stage than it is to go through. Because there's only, is it 4 teams?
4 third place teams go through, don't they?
Yeah.
In addition to the first and seconds.
Yeah, the odds are in our favour, so...
Yeah.
it should bring a certain amount of tranquility with it. That it's something I don't like about this. The 16 teams, Euros were far better, because the group stages meant much more.
Yeah, you either finish first or second and you're through. The rest of it is complex now, isn't it? Because you're like, oh, well, they've got 5 points and they're better goal difference, and what do you... Yeah, it does complicate it, rather.
Yeah.
Come on, England. That's all I'll say. Last thing. Come on, boys.
Harry Neville. And a goal for Barnby. Well, that will settle England down.
Here's Barnby now racing through and scored. Well, they lost their concentration for once in Spain. And England have taken full advantage through Nick Barnby.
There was a couple of things I was going to go through with you anyway. Just we tried to kind of model this. We always love our 90s sitcoms, and usually the take on any of the tournaments was Baddiel and Skinner's fantasy football, which I think we both watched, even though at that time I don't think we were really as in touch with football together as we would have been otherwise.
Possibly not old enough to get some of the humour as well.
Probably as well, yes.
And the unfortunate thing about Fantasy Football League being, current to its time is that it's not repeated anywhere.
That's right. It's just really poor quality on YouTube.
Yeah.
Which is most of the 90s stuff that we end up watching, apart from Father Ted, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, one of the things that I did notice, and do you know what was really annoying about it? I wanted to go back and watch this footage, but if you remember Shooting Stars, everyone remembers Shooting Stars with Vic and Bob. The ball, I know you had your own kind of take on that little car that delivered the ball for the opening of the tournament last night.
Fantastic.
But it was like the wonderful, wonderful car that replaced the Dove from above in the 90s. It used to just come on, and it was like sporting red car, and everyone clapped it on, and then it had an arse at the back, and then it used to lift up and shoot questions out its arse into Vic or Bob's hand. I cannot find any footage of it, and I don't know if I've just dreamed that or
you've dreamed about a car with an arse.
Oh, I didn't know if it was UEFA going, right, shit, we've got this idea, we've took off Shooting Stars, get all the footage down, lads, because then they won't have any copyright claim whatsoever.
And nobody can beat it.
That's it. I was even looking at, honestly, you search for the pictures, wonderful, wonderful car, you do it, there's fuck all, absolutely fuck all. And I thought it was a real shame because it was an absolute tailor-made, how it started, how it's going, bollocks. It's the wonderful, wonderful car has grown up. But I mean, that was my take on the ridiculousness of the ball being delivered by electronic car. You saw another good one though, didn't you?
Well, yeah, somebody had photoshopped Harry Redknapp leaning out of the window. And I looked at that leaning out the window looking for Jim White leaving. Great
play, yeah, terrific.
Yeah, of course we don't want to talk about him, but he's a terrific player, wonderful player.
You're a bit of a wheeler dealer out here. Fuck off. Don't tell me a fucking wheeler dealer.
Nick Crenshaw, yeah, he's a wonderful player.
He's a wonderful player. Nico, we're getting the boys back together, band back together. You in?
Just waiting for someone to prang a ball off the back of his head and go, no wonder you're in the fucking reserves.
You were ready for that, were you?
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant. So, well, that was one of them, and there was another one that was a little bit more Hull-based.
I said that somebody more talented than me should Photoshop Ronnie Pickering leaning out the window.
You want a fucking bare knuckle, do you?
And old Grandpa Joe apparently Googled it and somebody had already done that.
As if somebody had already done that.
Do you know who I am?
Do you know who I am?
Ronnie Pickering!
Oh?
Yeah, me!
Fucking brilliant, that, wasn't it? It's 4 times he says that.
Yeah.
After you'd said that this morning, and I knew we'd mentioned it on this, I looked up the clip again and I was just absolutely howling. Yeah. Yo, you fucking divvy, yo! Do you know who I am? Ronnie Pickering. Oh, the blokes just absolutely got him all day on toast. Oh, Ronnie Pickering. Oh, Ronnie Pickering! There's a rage in him. Who the fuck's that? Yeah, me.
Me. Oh, right then.
All right, well, good for you. Fuck off then. One of the best
it's taken him a long way
seen on a Hull street.
There he was delivering the match ball yesterday.
Yeah. Can imagine him just calling the ref you silly cunt, get over here when you made that fucking stupid decision.
Do you want a bare knuckle?
Do you want a bare knuckle then? Come on then. Meanwhile, his wife sits next to him, not saying a word, just
not
looking
moving.
straight on.
Complete fear.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, well, that was that was one of the things we noticed. Also, Italy's kit wasn't nice, was it?
None of those Puma away kits are.
Nah, they're really bad, aren't they?
A weird template. Although we did notice, thanks to Twitter today, that one nice touch on the back of Switzerland's kit was that their name sets and numbers were in the Helvetica font.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very subtle nod to their or to the creator of the Helvetica font, who also happens to be Swiss.
I thought that was a nice little touch, but it still offends me that everything is in lowercase on their shirts. I really hate it. It gives me anxiety looking at the back of their shirt, going, "Who the fuck's done this? Where did we run out of capitals, lads?" I even saw somebody suggest that the first letter should be capital and everything else should be lowercase, and that made me even more anxious. I was like, "Fucking hell, don't mix them. You need to have one or the other, but don't have lowercase. You need it blocks, don't you?"
I mean, there have been shirts where they've been like mixed.
Oh God, I couldn't think of anything worse. You imagine looking at your printing when you.
I've got at least one messy shirt where the I is in lowercase.
Oh God. I just don't. I just do not like the idea of that at all.
I think it's quite a common theme on Barcelona shirts, actually, because I think they've got an Iniesta one where the N's in lowercase as well.
Dear me. Not for me.
But the same height. It's the same height as the capitalised letters.
That's weird. We're really getting to the nitty gritty of kits here, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, there's only been 4 games to talk about, and here we are talking about printing on shirts.
But I do think the Puma kits are shocking. They've put no effort. The template, as you say, is bloody awful.
Yeah. Which is a shame because Italy's home strip is lovely.
Yes. But we knew this from when we watched the Austria game. They look like training shirts, don't they? Those away ones. It's really bizarre. Turkey weren't great, were they?
No, and a lot of people were tipping them to be dark horses, but
everybody I'd seen, listened to podcasts, read some stuff from like Guardian Athletic, stuff like that. They'd all gone, "Oh yeah, Turkey one to watch out for," because blah blah blah. And they just didn't look like they were going to do anything.
No.
I mean, I don't know if that's just because Italy are really good, and they were made to look
but I mean, Turkey just couldn't look after the ball, caused a lot of problems.
No, they just panicked, didn't they? They had absolutely no composure on the ball whatsoever. And then as soon as that one went in, the first one went in, that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you could tell it was coming from the way that the flow of the game was being played out.
Yeah. Great finish as well. Is it Insignia? Was it the third goal?
Yeah, it was. I mean, he had so much space though, and they had a warning shot in the first half where he didn't quite get his angles right.
Yeah, it was straight what he was doing, wasn't it?
No, he bent it wide.
Oh, I think there was another one first half though where he tried to do that and then it had just gone in straight to the keeper's palms.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some outstanding performances last night. I was impressed with Immobile.
Yeah.
I mean, he scored so many. Last year in Serie A wasn't one of his best, but the year before he scored a hell of a lot of goals.
Was it over 30? Wasn't it the season before?
Yeah.
They've got some excellent players, and do you know what I did love as well? At the end, it looked like Turkey might get a goal back, and then there was Cellini, absolutely fucking beasted it, and he celebrated it as though he'd scored a goal.
Yeah, I always appreciate
absolutely
that.
brilliant. I love that.
Sheer love of defending.
It was just like, fuck off, not in this house. This is my house.
Not today or any day.
That's right. He's not up in here. Absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, good opening to the tournament. And then, what do you make of the Wales game?
First 45, didn't think too much to it, but then second half came to life a bit.
Yeah.
I thought Wales were a little bit tentative. They seemed to sit off the ball, and especially at 1-0 down, they seemed to sit off Switzerland. I'm quite happy to let them have it, but then about an hour to go, or half an hour to go, an hour gone, it seemed to change a little bit, and it was like, okay, well, we're going to have to go for it, and they started to get more chances, and their equaliser was a lovely one.
Good header, very good header, great ball in as well.
Yeah, but the Switzerland defence was static.
I think they just kind of knocked off, went to sleep, so we've got this 1-0 at the rate. They're not really going to threaten us, and you can't do that against any team that's in the Euros, in my opinion, because even the smaller teams will punish you, won't they?
Yeah. I mean, we've seen what Wales did in 2016.
Yeah.
Of course, they relied on Danny Ward, who was probably man of the match.
He was excellent, and he's absolutely bloody wasted at Leicester, by the way.
Well, yeah.
I mean, he should be somewhere playing regularly. I mean, he's played 14 games the last 3 seasons he's played.
Wow.
And he's still near Wales' number 1 for today. It's unbelievable.
It's not bad. But yeah, I mean, Kiefer Moore looks smart. I think there's a debate in leading up to the tournament as to whether or not they play him or they play Harry Wilson as a false 9. But I think he justified his selection today. He was alive to that ball coming into the box, and you could see on TV that his marker, when he starts his run, he's not even looking at him.
No.
And he's past him, and he's attacking that front post. And we could all see it. And we were talking about in our group chat. Meanwhile, Robbie Savage is having an orgasm.
Oh, mate. Oh, my God.
Not doing what he's supposed to be doing, which is breaking down the play as a former professional. He's just there, like, saying to his co-commentator, like, "You're excited? Feel these nipples."
Literally. Literally was a scene out of Dodgeball, wasn't it? Or Basketball. It did remind me of the Dodgeball thing with Pepper Brooks when he's there. He's just like, yeah, he will, when he's put the blindfold on. At the end
I've never seen it.
Like, have you never seen Dodgeball?
No.
Oh, there's a great scene at the end where the character like blindfolds to do this shot and everyone thinks it's mad. And the commentator, when he goes, "I can't believe it, he's blindfolded himself." And the other guy, Jason Bateman, plays him with his like backwards cap on, like this cool dude, and he just goes, "Yeah, he will not be able to see very well there, Carton." Just like saying the absolute bleeding obvious.
But that's what Savage was doing.
He pretty much was. He was just a commentator from an American comedy film.
Just the worst type of punditry. Like,
absolutely,
literally saying what was on the screen. Like, it's a great ball. He's headed it. The keeper hasn't been able to save it, and because it's crossed the line, it's a goal. Like, thanks, Robbie. Thanks for coming.
It's just, I mean, it's not even punditry, is it? We just got a Wales fan. It was the old school fan TV from fucking Sky.
Yeah, it was exactly.
It was fan zone, wasn't it? They used to call it fan zone, where you got the Liverpool Man U game, and you had a Liverpool fan and a Man U fan, and they were as biased as they could be, and whatever. And Savage just fit that mould completely. He's a rubbish pundit.
Yeah, it's like if for the England games on ITV they put Ian Wright on.
Yeah, I mean, you're all right with that kind of stuff in the studio, and you can see all the celebrations afterwards and stuff. But it's not for the actual commentary experience. Is it?
Especially in this day and age where you've got people like Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher on Sky who are doing great work in providing us all with an education and giving you detailed and complex
the tactical breakdowns.
The benefit of their experience. But then you've got in the biggest free-to-air football event in 3 years, and you've got Robbie Savage creaming his pants because Wales have scored a goal, and he's so excited that he can't properly articulate and use the benefit of his supposed superior knowledge to tell us what's going on the game because he's too involved in it himself.
I just think it's poor all round. I just think, like, did you watch the Europa League final with Man U Sevilla?
Yes.
Did you not?
Unfortunately,
did you not? Because it was an awful game, I know it was. But did you not just think, like, do these pundits watch anything except top 6 Premier League football? Because they didn't even mention Sevilla, and they were just like, "Oh well, mid-table La Liga, they should do these." And it's like, do you even do your research? Like, this is not something where you can just go, "Oh yeah, by the way, there's another team in the final as well." Anyway, moving on.
Yeah,
it just feels like that. I saw some stuff today that in the press conferences before. There's Luka Modric, and he was talking about the old school kind of England arrogance.
They're fixated on this, aren't they, the Croatians?
And they said something about it isn't the players at all. It is the commentators, the media, and some journalists that they really dislike. it was interesting to see that because it was usually you just get it aimed at the England players that they never go and play anywhere. They just they just stay in their own country.
It's less and less true these days.
It is less and less true, certainly. But they weren't aiming it. The criticism that Croatia were aiming it at the players. It was very much the punditry. And I actually see where they're coming from when you see shite like BT Sport pull out and then BBC did today. For the Wales game, essentially. Obviously, I'm not talking here about the Denmark game, but when you've got such a biased commentator like that, you even though you'll go, oh yeah, well obviously he's a supporter, so he'll want him to win it. Gary Neville commentates on Man United games all the time, and he always calls it out as being, oh no, that was awful, or he says, yep, really good goal for whoever the opposition is.
He can be objective about it.
He can be very objective, and that's a very difficult thing to do, but he manages to do it, 90% of the time. If he thinks that Man United don't deserve a penalty, he'll say it. Yeah. Whereas Robbie Savage, anytime anyone was going down, well, you've got to give that ref.
Yeah, but I mean, practically celebrating that offside decision on Switzerland on the second goal that was ruled out for Switzerland, celebrating as if he was the one that raised the flag.
Yeah. I called it.
Yeah,
he didn't.
He was practically channeling Mike Dean in celebrating the decision.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know that video when Mike Dean runs off, celebrates because he's given advantage?
And he's waving his arm like in the air when Tottenham score, isn't it?
Robbie Savage was doing the punditry equivalent of that today.
It was also like the clip of Mike Dean I've seen because he supports Tranmere. And Tranmere got promoted, and he's just in the middle of all the fans, throwing his fist out. That was also Robbie Savage.
Cringe. Yeah. Maybe they're one and the same. Has anybody ever seen them in the same room?
Ooh,
it could be a wig that Savage wears.
It could be. I remember Dino used to call him a bee in a bottle.
Yeah.
He said, "What you put a bee in a bottle? What do you do? He fucking buzzes about, doesn't it? That's all he does. He's just a fucking pub player." Always rely on a good description of somebody's personality or playing style from Dean Winders.
Yeah.
And then obviously, I know we've talked about the Denmark game, but they did restart that, and I can't imagine how difficult that must have been. Because I know we should be talking about the fact that Finland have got the first win in the Euros, but it kind of feels a bit empty.
Yeah, and under different circumstances, it would have been a very, very significant win for them. It's their first major tournament. And I think they're the first team in the history of the Euros to win with only one shot on target.
Wow.
Did I see that? I could be wrong on that.
I think that did surface on Twitter. I've heard that. I feel like I've read that information. It literally was the only shot on target, I think, that they scored from. But I mean, yeah, under different circumstances, they'd be like, well, fair play to Finland. And I think it's something where you can say that game was affected by what happened, and what UEFA kind of said was, look, you can play at 2, you can play at 12 tomorrow, or you can play now.
Yeah.
And the players just said, let's get out of the way, let's just play, because we know he's in a hospital and he's recovering.
Yeah, and I think their manager said something to the effect of, let's just get it done.
Exactly, because they'll have like a 3 or 4 day kind of rest before the next game, won't they? So
I mean, such a difficult position for them to be put in. When you think about the part in the sport that emotion and management of emotions and things like that can play in elite level sport and elite level football. I mean, what a difficult position for them to be in.
I don't think I could play.
No, massive credit to them that they were able to go back out there, having seen what they'd seen, and also the significant part that they'd played in that, in helping their teammate to receive the treatment and then helping him to maintain his dignity in front of a worldwide audience. Like, massive credit to them.
Massive.
Players of the tournament already.
Yeah, absolutely. Which only leaves obviously one game, which I think you've just finished watching, mate.
Yes, yeah, I watched it on a delay after I started recording it when I knew that the Denmark game was coming back. So I watched Belgium and Russia.
Yeah,
I think it went great.
No,
it was a pretty big gulf.
Russia did not impress, did they?
No, it got better second half, but I mean the first half, Belgium just stretched the pitch as big as they could. With their kind of 4-4-2, Russia just couldn't cope with the wing backs. The pitch was massive.
No. I mean, they've often played a 3-5-2 all the time,
Yeah.
Belgium, aren't they? Because just the way that he decides to play it, but it obviously worked to their advantage.
Yeah, but I mean, the wing back stretched it, and if Russia wanted to deal with the width, then it left the passing channels in the middle for Belgium to exploit, and just nothing Russia could do. They couldn't lay a glove on them.
Men versus boys, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, it got a bit dull towards the end because you could just tell that it wasn't going to happen.
It was like an exhibition match, wasn't it?
And that's the trouble with the 2014 tournament.
Yeah.
Last thing I've noticed so far is that I don't like this multi-country format. I think it's left the feel of the tournament. It feels quite fractured. I like it when it's contained in one country and you can kind of get a mood for the place. And obviously that's difficult with people not being able to travel and stuff. But it's quite jarring when you're going from Baku to Copenhagen and then out to was it in St. Petersburg?
Yeah,
in Russia. It's quite jarring. I don't like that as much as I like it being in one host country.
I mean,
So
the temperature differences as well, just weird.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
Baku looks fucking boiling.
Yeah, and I think I heard today that France could potentially play in as many as 7 different locations, whereas on the other side of that, England could play 6 games at Wembley. I think
they could. It just depends who they draw and if they win and all of that. But they could just play it at home the whole time.
It seems to give some teams massive advantages and other teams, a lot to do. And at the end of a compacted season for everyone, like let's say France do have to go to 7 different places.
Yeah,
travel is it puts an awful lot of wear on the players, and we've seen today that players are fragile, so it's
certainly
maybe the consequences won't be quite as dramatic and serious as they were today, and most likely not. But it's one of those things where it can have that maybe 5 or 10% that matters in top level sport. So I think it's one of those things that they've done for cash, and I would not want to see it repeated. I don't know what the situation is for Euro 2024, but this isn't the one for me.
No, I understand that. I also think if you're still doing this in the pandemic, that if you're having all of the country, all of the different competing nations in one country, you are going to have a situation like you've got in South America. Because the Copa America there, they've just was it Venezuela? 14 different players have tested positive. They've had to basically get a whole new squad sent out to Brazil, and they'd already moved it from Argentina anyway, haven't they?
Yeah. I suppose that's a fair point. That is a valid point, I guess.
I wasn't disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that it also comes with its own problem if you're having all the teams in one country. Yeah,
so I guess that's the other side of it, and maybe it will work out, and we just have to suck it up to the fact that it doesn't feel quite as as fun as it did in 2012 or whatever.
Yeah, when Andy Carroll scored that header against Sweden a long time ago now.
2016 definitely wasn't fun.
No, fuck me. Bloody shocking.
Not if you were watching from home, anyway.
Definitely not. I don't think I've noticed anything else. I'm going to look very closely in the next few weeks. Well, a few games before we record again. I'm sure we'll probably do one either after the first England game or before the second one as maybe a preview. Mm-hmm. We're going to try and keep them. Well, we said actually half an hour. We've been talking about 50 minutes because that's just usually what we do with the podcast. But definitely under an hour, right?
Yeah,
definitely under an hour. And hope also that you enjoy Richie's hard work that's been put into the new musical jingles with the England commentary because I love it. So sounds very good. So well done on that, mate. Good chat as always.
Yeah, and thoughts of 3 Lions.
Thoughts of 3 lines up the England. 3 lines on a shirt. It's coming home and all that.
It doesn't sound right.
It's coming home.
Yeah, that'll do. It's coming home.
It's coming home. That'll be our sign off. We won't say Forza. I feel like you're talking in another language.
And we don't do that. Not this summer.
Not this summer. It stays at home.
Just ask Amanda Holden.
Brilliant. Right. Come on. 3 lines on a shirt and all that, mate.
Enjoy the game.
You too. Speak to you soon.
See ya.